Welcome to HugNation. I am Halcyon. It is a beautiful day in Southern California, and it is such a treat to spend this moment with you. Today's topic is a rough one. I've been hearing stories and getting caught up in and having all sorts of thoughts and experiences and about a lot of darkness, a lot of bad stuff, bad people, conversations about is there evil in the world and things like that. And wow, that is a hard place to go to from a rose-colored glasses skipping through the hillside kind of mentality. And I don't want to pretend that life is a skipping through the hillside 24/7 experience. So these experiences and this time is one where I'm trying to figure out what it all means and how we make sense of it all. Because yeah, there's dark stuff out there. The big thing that got me riled up this week was that the news posted an article about a teacher that I was quite close with in high school that was sentenced to 7 years prison for child pornography. Now, that's a heavy thing. That's a heavy thing. And this guy was a good guy. I really feel like I was a better student and a better person because of the influence of this teacher. And all of a sudden he's tainted by this story or by this information, by this, and at first it's just unsettling. Like in my head, there's this anchor from my past, and then you find out, oh my gosh, the floorboards are all rotten. And then I go back, what does this mean? And was he acting nice to me because he wanted? And no, I don't feel that in any way there was ever any actions done with ill intent or manipulation or anything outside of kindness towards me and any of the other kids that he worked with. So to be clear, he was not convicted and there's no evidence that he ever did anything, no child abuse, he never did anything to a child. He had child porn on his hard drive. And that is a bad thing. It's a terrible thing because it creates a demand. And so in the same way that by using drugs, even though you have a good relationship with your drug dealer, engaging in a black market activity creates a black market that creates suffering down the line. And that's true whether you have a good relationship with your escort or prostitute or your drug dealer, or your dealer of illicit pornography. And so for me, I guess there is a difference there. Somebody in some comments in this, some of the high school friends have been kind of trying to talk this through because it's a little bit jarring. And one person said, as shocking as this is, and like, don't we all have impulses that we struggle with? He said that, I love to eat to excess. I love to eat. I know I shouldn't, but I eat all the time until I feel sick to my stomach. And if they made a law against it, but no one was looking, would I be able to keep myself from overeating? And that's simplified, and it's not the same thing. But it did put my head into that frame of mind of, we all have darkness, we all have thoughts, we all have a shadow. Jung says it's actually incredibly unhealthy to not acknowledge that we have a shadow. When we are constantly holding down any sort of negative thought we have, whether that be killing your mother, says Freud, or whether that be blowing up the building or hating yourself, whatever it is, if you like, I can't bear to have those thoughts, then you close off the pathway to all creative thought, all thought that comes beyond the conscious mind. And I would argue that erotic feelings do come from a deeper place than the conscious mind. Otherwise, you would decide what you wanted to turn you on. Who would decide? Who would choose to be turned on by something that was illegal and that you would know caused harm in the world? I mean, how many people in small towns that discovered they were gay would have chosen something else? You can't choose what turns you on. It's one of the beautiful things about our erotic selves. That's another story entirely. And so I don't see this evil man. I see this man with a serious demon. And right or wrongly, because of the way it created a demand for the pornography, and maybe it's wrong to call it pornography, it's, child abuse. But he tried to find a way to, deal with this inner demon. Clearly, I don't have this all figured out yet. But there were some people that were posting this like such hate-filled things and while I there was parts of me that felt angry, and I wanted to be protective of my brother and wanted to be protective of friends, and I also felt an intense sadness that this human being with this messed up wiring, who dedicated his life to helping people as a counselor, as a teacher, and all of that is erased by a collection of images that he had on his hard drive. And I have no idea, what percentage of his life was taken up by his obsession with that collection. An obsession, I think, is probably the right word, because why else would you keep it on your hard drive? And I think about, how many dark thoughts or dark things have I done that, thank goodness, is not a part of my legacy forever, at least not yet. So, okay, let's say I'm an apologist and I need to get angrier and I need to be more focused on the evil in the world. There was somebody that posted in this thread that we need to give our children the gift of fear so that they aren't taken advantage of people like this. And man, did that rub me the wrong way. The gift of fear. I mean, yes, there are bad things in the world. But maybe the gift of protection? Maybe the gift of awareness? I know that an earthquake could hit at any moment. So I can prepare for it. I can act in certain ways, but do I really want to embrace fear as a way to deal with that presence of possibilities? I really believe that, you find evidence whatever it is you look for. And so if you create your worldview is about demons and darkness and evil and bad people, then you will find tons of examples of that, and your world will you'll be proven time and time again that that's the world that you live in. Or if you keep reminding yourself of how many miracles are around and how many amazing people are in the world, you will find more and more and more examples of them. And so maybe that is the lesson, the takeaway. It's like, it's not, maybe the best case scenario is that my experience of this man was all positive. Whereas if I lived in fear, thousands and thousands of men could have been tainted by I would have projected darkness onto them. Now the truth is, I receive no darkness. So I came out ahead in this situation. Now, how much darkness do I have to experience before it's worth it to live every day with a little bit of darkness as I fear? It's the optimism tax. Do I want to trust people and know that once in a while I'm going to get burned or someone is going to be not trustworthy? And when those things happen, I will pay an optimism tax. Now, in this scenario, maybe trust doesn't mean teaching your children to go home with people they don't know. Maybe it's a healthy boundaries, but maybe it's a healthy boundary saying never go home with a stranger. Not, you need to be careful because you're going to be abducted and these things can happen and the world's a scary place and you need to make sure you never do this. Are you scared enough that you're never going to do it? Because then you're scared enough all the time. And the world is not as bad as the story we tell about it. All statistics and news reports say that even as we are flooded by negative news, the world is safer than it's ever been. There's less violent crimes than there's ever been. And so when we make our world about the goodness, that's the goodness that is reflected. This last weekend was Help the Homeless. It was First Saturdays. So went downtown and it was 100% chance of rain earlier in the week. And we thought we should cancel and then, well, we'll give it a try. And guess what? Beautiful blue skies the morning of First Saturdays. We've never had rain in 3 years. Well, we said that last week. So there was clear and then we organized clothes and we actually had a pouring rain during the brief 5-minute time when we loaded up the trucks and drove it to our other location. So we were actually in our cars during the worst of the rain. It's like magical. No, I could have told a story about how we got rained out and we're trying to do good and we get all wet. No, the story that I hear and I see was that on a day that it was certain to rain, it all but opened up the skies for us. Amazing. And more than open up the skies, with having my heart opened up, because as we went around the circle, there was a little boy who came to First Saturdays, and we always kind of pass around a hat saying, if you can help out with the care packs, whatever you've brought. And we had people that brought 100 burritos, tons of sandwiches, hot chocolate, homemade squash soup, mountains of clothes, and then little Noah Zwartendijk said, hey, I just turned 8 years old, and every year, instead of presents, I ask people to donate money to a charity, and this year I wanted to give the donations to First Saturdays. So here's $320, which I'm pretty sure buys a lot of Beyblades and Lego. And he said, I want to give that to people in need in my community. So, you know what world I live in? There are children that have terrible things that happen to them in this world. And there are children that are raised by amazing parents that do amazing things and light up. And these actions of light are the ones that I want to hold on to, that I want to be the ones that dictate the world that I live in. Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. Maybe that's somewhere in it. Believe and trust that there is the majority of people, that the odds are you're going to run into the good ones. But if something doesn't feel right, know that you could be in one of those situations where maybe the person that you're encountering is not connected. They're out of balance. They're not connected to you and source and the community of one that is all of us. And so they are misfiring and a danger to themselves and to you. And that will happen. But that doesn't mean the world is tainted. The world is this ocean. And a few drops of poison does not make the ocean unswimmable. The ocean is still glorious. Side note on Noah, I wrote to his parents and said, hey, what a great kid. Thank you so much. Do you mind if I mention his name? And the mom said, he may have gotten his empathy from his great-grandfather who saved over 2,000 Jews during World War II. See what I'm saying? Even in the darkness, there are these lights. And without the darkness, we wouldn't see the stars. We need to have light and dark. That's what the human experience is about. And sometimes, even though we wish for a world of lying on a beach and being served daiquiris, that would get boring. And the divine self inside us knows that too. And so the experience of reality that we have is filled with villains and obstacles. Because what kind of movie would it be with neither of those? So to anyone who has a darkness in them, has experiences or memories that they struggle, that is the plot of your epic adventure. And you will find more and more characters along the journey who will help you find your courage or your brain or your heart as we follow our pink brick road. Let's have a hug. Wherever you are, grab yourself by the shoulders. And know that in this moment you are blessed. In this moment you can take a breath. You can acknowledge the absolute magnitude of having physical sensations in a world so rich with color and smell and touch and taste. We are not tubes with holes on either side to consume. We are richly nuanced organisms to appreciate this amazing magical world, not just physically, but emotionally. To feel the sharp, the spike, the soft, the fuzzy, and to feel the pain, the ache, the elation, the joy. To sand away like a rock tumbler the hard edges through life's experiences, through the rough times, through the battling around and banging around, softening up and revealing the pure, loving insides, and then just letting that out, letting that shine. Letting go of our story of what should be and just allowing what is. Finding ourselves attracted more and more to the light. Finding ourselves being more and more the light. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the love warriors, happy HugNation. Thank you. I love you. Be careful, and also be open. Namaste.